Mirrors and Dreams, Book 2 of the Unseen Scar series, written and narrated by C.R. Saxon. Chapter 8. This can't be right. The list of witnesses Zhao provided wasn't long, but it was more than sufficient. Stories told by a dozen people all agreed. Only 2 said anything different, and even they confirmed his cousin jumped out of a burning building. Whether Ferdinan was carrying 2 children, like Mo said, or 1, he really did something heroic. And after Ferdinan hid away, refusing any accolade. Why? What did he get? Was he finally thinking outside himself? Has he stopped being selfish? No, staples of personality don't change that dramatically. Did he do it for show? But Ferdinan was self-absorbed. The opinions of others never mattered, and he was avoiding praise. What then? What did he have to gain? Is this some kind of joke? I can't think about this right now. Placing the screen on the table in his cabin, Zephyr stood and stretched. Being on a boat for a week was far too long. Meandering was important to avoid attention, but the direct route from the islands was more tolerable. How hard would it be to make Oceanic Transport Overseer a royal position? Fatigue overruled complaining muscles demanding to run. There was nothing left for Ferdinan to draw on, and it wasn't even dinner time. He couldn't remember feeling tired like this before. The skeleton stumbled to the sack in his lab closet. Evelyn should be sleeping, but did he deserve to play with her? Both of his apprentices nearly died. Yu was still in isolation, and he couldn't find any evidence of real progress on her condition. Yu stole her future. Anyone else would have saved her in time. Neither mentee had family at this year's family week. He'd spent time with them, invited them. He'd only thought of them. How different would everything be now? But he didn't. He failed them, and they were the ones paying for his failure. I'm so tired. Blood-red hair somersaulted through the window, but Oya didn't say anything until she was an inch from his nose. Hi. Why is she suddenly being silly like this? Is she worried about hurting me? Don't concern yourself over me. This is all my fault. His knees shook. Nearly colorless eyes looked longingly at the sleeping sack. I'm sorry, Oya. I'm really tired. Tomorrow. I promise we'll play tomorrow. Her grin grew wilder. We'll play tomorrow. When she slipped out the window, he laid down and let sleep take him. Does this make me a monster? I wonder. If it did, well, Oya was well on that path already. But if a monster did something good, did that negate them being a monster? Mad giggles left her as she slipped through the window and stood once again at Yu's bedside. She had to finish tonight. Ferdinan and Gerard were both at their limit, and Zephyr was taking more of her time. Any longer on his own, and she'd have John to deal with too. I've learned all I can. Time to work. Eyes closed, Oya delved in, returning to the broken net in the halted galaxy beyond. Are you still here, young one? Yes. I'll need you to talk to me as I work. I thought that distracted you. Oya grinned. Just tell me if anything doesn't feel right, or if something changes. Okay. The damage to the larger hole was more significant, but the smaller one felt more important. Somehow. Between information that could be relearned or language and loved ones, she'd rather make a mistake on the former. Taking the first frayed end, Oya covered it with both hands, lifted it to her lips, and blew gently on it. A little warmth ebbed out of her, but the end glowed and the phrase smooth. Now where would you best connect to? You skipped dinner again. Gerard stood in the doorway only to be ignored by his sweet mate, like usual. Dinner grew cold hours ago. They should be fast asleep now. But every night, I can't keep doing this. Sighing, the healer entered and placed the bag with their meals on a side table before approaching Zhao. Tapping the thinker's shoulder did nothing, so he knocked away the screams. What? Blue-black eyes shot venom at him. When was the last time you ate? Zhao rubbed tired eyes, looking completely overwhelmed. What was that? Please. Shaking hands covered Gerard's face. You don't eat. You don't sleep. I'm exhausted looking at you. You're exaggerating, am I? Gerard threw his hands down but stopped himself from yelling. Your mom keeps calling me because you won't talk to her, except to ask for more work. Master Luce told me you're skipping classes again, and you canceled all your sessions. Your friends and subordinates keep chasing me down to check on you because you avoid them. You're never in the suite, avoiding me. No matter how many times I try, you won't talk to me or listen to my concerns. The concerns of everyone who cares about you. Gerard, Don't say it. Flame and ice battled inside the cow's gut. He was tired. So tired. At home, he'd have plenty of political weight to throw around. But here, he was just a healer, like dozens of other students. Every day, I try talking to you. Every day, I go and give everything I have to the little girl who's so important to you. And every night, I lie awake. I can't get a break. You stay buried in whatever all this nonsense is. There's so much damage. I don't know how to fix it all. And I can't sleep, because all I can think about is how useless I am to everyone who needs me right now. Zhao sat stunned at Gerard's outburst. He didn't speak. He just waited. Gerard looked up, blinking fast. None of this is good for you. None of this. It's important. Is it more important than your health, family, charges? Is it so important to lock yourself in here for a theory that ultimately doesn't matter? Squaring his jaw, the healer stared down those blue-black eyes. I wish I could tear this thought from your mind so you'll never think of it again, so you can return to life. Gerard. Zhao leaned forward, but seemed at a loss for what to do next. No. Walking back, the healer picked up the food containers and turned out the light. You're leaving this lab. You're coming to the suite. We're eating dinner, and you're going to talk to me. Then in the morning, I'm dragging you to your session with Master Luce. And if you start skipping again, I'll send a full report to your mother. No, you... Yes. Gerard's free hand pointed at the door. Don't think I don't see how much she needs help too. But if you go home like this, you'll only make her worse, and the two of you will spiral, because you're both lousy when it comes to opening up. Standing, Zhao set his jaw in defiance and approached his sweet mate. Before the thinker could argue, Gerard hit him where it hurt. Don't delude yourself into thinking you're not half as bad as Ferdinan. You're worse. Anyone can look at him and see he's suffering. You do so with a smile. The usual darkness greeted Ferdinan. Immediately he searched for her door, for the light and warmth he desperately needed. Her beautiful smile ran toward him, and he sprinted to her. Evelyn! Jumping into his arms, she squeezed his neck. Big brother, you're back! I've missed you! Those last 3 words sounded like a lecture. I apologize, Lady Evelyn. I've been busier than normal. What are we playing tonight? Pushing herself back, she turned those green-ringed black eyes on him. It's been a while since we've had a tea party. He didn't deserve her joy, but he needed it. A sincerely happy smile beamed at her. Yay! Jumping up and down, she decided on a cloud tea party. White puffy clouds against a multicolored background made up everything, including the tea, cookies, and other guests. Lady Evelyn, are you having fun at school? Oh, yes! I made a new friend yesterday. Her name's Chicha. She loves bugs. And Tag, too. I'm not the only one anymore. How about you? Are you having fun with Uncle John and your friends? Hesitating, Ferdinan sipped his tea. Oh, he's having fun. I play with him every day. Crystal blue eyes tripled in size as Evelyn turned to the boy sitting next to her. John? No, Ferdinan! Jumping up, Evelyn turned to her big brother sitting across from her. Do I have 2 big brothers now? The one next to Evelyn was exactly what Ferdinan would look like if he had the weight and help everyone tried forcing on him. It was understandable she mistook the boy for John. But that voice. Get away from her. You're Lady Evelyn? I've been wanting to meet you for some time. Really? It's nice to meet you too. What's your name? Why don't you call me... The voice that haunted him smiled at Ferdinan. Emile. Ice encased Ferdinand's heart. That was his middle name. He'd always hated it, but hearing the voice use it... Moving in closer, Emile opened his hand before Evelyn. A puff of blue smoke floated up, revealing a little glowing fairy as it dissipated. Ooh! Reaching out, Evelyn scooped up the fairy. What's your name? She doesn't have one. You're welcome to name her. The charming smile Emile gave made Evelyn beam. Ooh, I think, what would be a good name? Get away from her. The dreamscape shook, interrupting Evelyn's thought, but Emile's smug smile didn't waver. That look was a challenge, betting he'd fail. Leave us alone. Leaping from his feet, Ferdinan jumped over the table and pushed Emile back, placing himself between his tormentor and his little sister. Evelyn, go somewhere safe. But I am safe. Ha! What's this? Stealing a peek behind him, the skeleton watched black tendrils reach out and envelop the small girl. Those shadowed arms didn't feel dangerous, not like the one before him. Don't ever go near her again.